right now. You can see it's a hell of a day to talk ball because we've got my legit good friend, real life friend, NFL Network's own Adam Rank, host of the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank. Adam Rank, what's going on, buddy?
What's happening? We're such good friends. I didn't Irish hello your wedding, which is what he was afraid I was going to do. Like, that was a legitimate concern.
It was.
For anybody who's unaware, is the Irish hello is similar to the Irish goodbye. The only thing being is that you tell people that you were there. Like, no, I'm there. Like, I could be doing it right now. Like, I'm texting somebody right now being like, no, I'm at Radio Row. I'm over by the Threads booth. How do you not see me? I'm wearing a shirt with The Rock on it. How can you not see me? That is an Irish hello.
Yeah. Honestly, I was more nervous you would Irish hello this podcast than Irish hello my wedding. No offense. I mean, I was really happy you were at my wedding, but, you know, this is a big guest list.
Yeah, this
I was like relying on people, you know, other people relying on you to be here for this show.
Right.
So can I tell a quick story about my wedding with Adam Rank? It's one of my favorite memories from the wedding. And then we'll get into the football stuff, whatever. So Rank attends my wedding. Obviously.
Yes.
And my wife's cousin, Zach, who's a lovely guy, but, you know, he likes to indulge. Let's just leave it at that. He comes up to me at the brunch the next day and says, hey, I saw Adam Rank was at the wedding. I thought about going up to him and saying, you owe me $200 because you were wrong about this, that, and the other in fantasy or whatever. And I was like, no, Zach, I talked to Rank last night. You actually did that. So it is one of my favorite memories from the wedding. But people didn't tune into this show just to hear me talk through.
I did.
Well, you know.
I tweeted this out. That's what I was doing. Okay. I didn't want to look disinterested, but I had to tweet out the link. So now that everybody who's joining us from Twitter.
Exactly. Now that people are actually watching this since the Rank bump got in here, here's what's going to happen on this show today. In the first segment, Rank is going to join me for a Super Bowl preview. Then we're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to talk through Bears' special season in 2025 and who could maybe be next year's Chicago Bears. Then the show's going to get even bigger because Rank is going to say goodbye.
Right.
He's going to go. Then Fantasy Life's Kendall Valenzuela is going to join me for the next segment to talk through Seahawks, Jackson Smith and Jigba's year 3 leap, and who could be next year's JSN. Then we're going to close out the show with 3 great interviews with CeeDee Lamb, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey. Like I said,
whoa,
it's a packed show.
This is a show.
But let's get into it here.
Yeah. By the way, you know what the best part of this whole thing, too, is? Kendall gave me her phone number. And it's real because I noticed on the text chain with everybody, I'm like, oh, that was the real number. Yeah. I got that. You never know.
That's great. I mean, I'm pretty nervous about giving people my phone number because I'm a good texter. I'm a terrible emailer. So apologies to all the people out there whose emails I have ignored. Let's get into the Super Bowl here. We've got Seahawks, 4.5-point favorites, taking on the Patriots. 45.5-point over-under. Rank, when you look at this game when the Patriots have the ball, what's a matchup that you think people should be paying attention to that they should note?
You know, I'm going to see if the Patriots are going to be able to establish the run. And that's one of the things that we saw at the end of the season. I was talking to Ramondre Stevenson, talking to him.
Name drop, baby.
Talking to him. I saw him at opening night.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, hey, I traded for you during, I had to do that, dumb.
Sure.
I legitimately did, and he was so good at the end of the season. I think that one of the things that you need to rely upon is the ability to run the football. And I think that if if New England is going to be successful, they got to go out there and establish that run with Ramondre Stevenson. He was on a string of scoring touchdowns. He had 2 games in the final regular season game of the season and did a really nice job. He's got to get the ball moving because otherwise, for Drake May, he has been taking. I don't want to say he was taking a beating.
Oh, sure.
They were getting after him during the playoffs, and I don't think that Seattle is any slouch as well. Got to be able to run the football, so that's the one I'm looking out for the most.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not been a smooth ride in the postseason for Drake May, and I think establishing that ground game could help. And, you know, it's funny that you think typically, especially when we do fantasy content, it's going to be, that young rookie running back is going to be taken off in the second half of the season. And Travion Henderson definitely had a few moments in the back half of the season, but they've really gone back to the veteran here. I mean, 90% plus of the snaps and the touches in the AFC Championship game went to Ramondre Stevenson, and he's been cooking right now. What's been your read on this Patriots backfield situation?
Yeah, it's one of those things because coming into the year, I was very bullish on Henderson. It was getting him on all our teams. And I felt like, and I had to wear it, for so long because we were like, oh, when's Henderson taking off?
Sure.
When is this going to be a thing? Finally happened at some point. I'm sorry. Somebody pick up my kids too, by the way. That was the alarm to know, like, hey, I got to go pick up my son from elementary school. Hopefully somebody is there today.
Somebody's got a handle on that, I would imagine.
Somewhat confident that's going to be happening.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll be getting a call from the teacher here in a moment. But they really, I like the way Henderson plays. But again, Josh McDaniels, I know that for years people have always been like, oh, the Patriots running back situation is a mess. It's a nightmare. It's like, honestly, they're pretty consistent with what they like to do. And it's one of those times where Josh McDaniels is trying to run the ball a certain way and use a certain, use a certain skill set with what Stevenson gives them. So you've just seen that if he's gone to it. Once the pattern has been identified, again, I think it's like a real easy. I know, again, people are like, I can't trust the Patriots back. Then you really can. They love to run the football. They want to establish the run. And eventually you will find it out. You got to be a little bit patient. But I think that Stevenson was just being very effective down the stretch. And you know what? When that happens, they're going to continue to run with him.
A lot of times in these gap scheme offenses, it typically does go towards that veteran because they're just a little bit more confident reading things out. And I think we've seen that definitely in the postseason with Ramondre Stevenson. When you look at the pass game for New England, I mean, either way, it's going to be a tough matchup. That Seahawks defense is so good. The Seattle secondary, they just basically give you a nickel to everything. They don't let you dictate personnel. And you mentioned Josh McDaniels. I think he's done a wonderful job with the tight ends, getting multiple slot receivers involved. I can't quite pick out a mismatch that goes in the favor of the Patriots here in the pass game. The one thing I might think about, Rank, is, Tariq Woolen, good perimeter corner, but he can also give you big plays as well. And Kayshon Boutte's been a guy who's popped up for some of those big plays as a perimeter wideout. So, again, I don't know if the advantage necessarily goes to New England there, but it's definitely a matchup to watch.
That is the only matchup. And when you're sitting there trying to figure out a person who could score a touchdown at any moment or at any time, so to speak, that has been the guy that I've been identifying. If you're trying to find one who's kind of an outlier, who's not JSN, who's not one of the big well-known names, I think that is something that they're going to try to exploit. We saw it too. Drake May makes one of the best passes of the season to Kayshon Boutte this year in the playoffs. That is going to be something I think they're probably going to try to take advantage of it because you always just try to find the space. Yeah. Find the space. Where can you find the space? But the problem is that the Seahawks defense, it's very difficult to find that space.
Yeah. Oh, it is. And especially in zone coverage, they just smother those windows. I've been saying to people all week, it's like they just move like an amoeba. All of them move as one. But that's not necessarily to take away from some of the individual great players that are on that unit, but it just goes to show they're dialed into the system. Their communication is right and tight. One thing I might note too is from a man coverage perspective, I do think slot corner, Devin Witherspoon, who's more than just your typical slot corner, but he's a guy who I would say probably is at his best when he's closing those zone coverage windows. But in one-on-one man coverage situations, when he's lined up across Stephon Diggs, I still think Diggs, while he's not the player that he was, he's such a good route runner, he's such a good technician. I would look for at least a few clutch catches from Stephon Diggs in this matchup as well.
Yeah, I'm curious which way Drake May is going to look when he gets into situations where he needs somebody to bail him out.
Yeah.
Because those times happen, and especially in a game of this magnitude. So I'm really curious, is Stephon Diggs going to be that player? Is he going to be the guy? This is his moment. We were sitting there Monday night, too, and watching the crowd that was gathered around him. Now, obviously, everybody's talking to him because of the notoriety of his Cardi B and all this stuff.
Of course.
But he's still an excellent receiver. That is the one thing that, it is kind of a joke because everybody knows. Same thing with, the kids. My daughter who loved Travis Kelce and all this stuff. You're he's actually, an excellent football player, too.
Yeah, right.
So in a game like this, you do look for your superstar. You do look for – this is why Stephon Diggs is in this situation. This is why he's had a cup of coffee in Houston and bounced around. He's been in a number of places. This is his moment. So I think they're going to try to find ways to get him the ball.
Yeah, as a receiver, that technician aspect of his game just ages so gracefully. So, yeah, he's clearly wanted to be in this game for quite some time. He's in this game. Going to be very fascinating to see what his performance looks like. Again, notice we didn't say anything about the Patriots' offensive line because that's a pretty rough mismatch that definitely favors the Seattle Seahawks. But I'll also use that to transition us to the other side of the ball here when the Seahawks have the ball. Again, like I said, the clear mismatch is certainly Seattle's defensive line versus New England's offensive line. That being said, Seattle has had a right guard problem all season. Bradford has been a little bit of a mess at that spot, even though the offensive line is certainly better than it was last year. I think he's going to find himself across from Milton Williams quite often. And when you look at the numbers,
look at the numbers.
Look at the numbers, baby.
Look at the numbers.
Look at the numbers, baby. When you look at those numbers, they tell you that the Patriots' run defense, when Milton Williams is on the field, it's just a totally different unit. So if Seattle's going to be able to find explosive runs with Kenneth Walker, or they're going to be able to give Sam Darnold some time, like Bradford's going to have his best game of the season because Milton Williams has been everything they could have hoped for as a free agent acquisition.
Not only that, but when him and Christian Gonzalez are on the field at the same time, they're undefeated this season. I believe the mark is 12-0. It's great in tandem because you have a guy who gets to the quarterback paired with a cornerback who shuts down opposing wide receivers. And we don't know how much they're going to be able to shadow him with everything. But Milton Williams has been so effective for this run game. And I was thinking about this too because when Kenneth Walker became the number one guy, obviously with Zach Charbonnet being out, for fantasy purposes, you look at that, you're like, oh, finally, we have one running back that we can rely on. But they do want to go out there. They do like to use a host of running backs to be effective. I know that it's terrible for us, but that's when they've been their most effective.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Kenneth Walker's done a really nice job. I'm curious to see how this plays out, how they're going to be able to get him, how they're going to get the ball into his hands. Because when I look at this matchup, when I look at the Seahawks offense, I feel like it's got to be somebody outside of the regulars, outside of JSN, outside of Kenneth Walker. Now, obviously, in the NFC Championship game, we saw Cooper Kupp go out there and get a dagger. We've seen some of the other guys step up as well. I really do believe that it's the secondary players of the Seahawks who are going to have to go out there and make plays in this one.
Who's like an unsung hero that people could look for on the Seahawks offense, you think?
You know, I know it is hacky, but it is for a reason. I do believe like Cooper Kupp, like it's no mistake. It's not an accident. And we see this too. Like, not that he's, not trying during the regular season, but like Cooper Kupp is a former Super Bowl MVP. Like, this is his moment. This is an opportunity for him. And we saw it. He's still got a little bit of juice. Like, you got to, it's like one of those movies where they're like, hey, like, they pulled me back in for the big game once again. But like, this is why you're here. And this is why you are so integral to the Seattle Seahawks, for the leadership, to let everybody know what's going on, what to expect. Those are the kind of things that you're able to talk to with your wide receiver group and with your teammates. Like, listen, this is going to be different. Halftime's longer. This is how you do it. I've been here a couple of times. This is how you adjust through these kind of things. It has to be somebody who breaks through. And again, it's an easy take just to say Cooper Kupp. So I'll take it. I'll take the easy way out of this.
Hey, no problem taking the layup there. And from a layup perspective, too, I think that A.J. Barner might play a big role as a layup guy here because Sam Darnold, it's funny. It's not the pressure for Sam Darnold. It's what type of pressure you get. You know, you show him one thing, then you give him another. Like, you're playing games, stunts, simulated pressures, things of that nature. And we've seen that with this Patriots defense in the postseason. But the best way to do that is to have a guy that you can, hey, all right, two guys went with Jackson Smith and Jigba down the field. Cooper Kupp's running more of an outbreaker. I need a simple answer here. A.J. Barner in the flat. We've seen him have some run after catch plays. Also, hey, maybe a couple tush-push moments for A.J. Barner.
Yeah,
so he's my unsung hero pick for the Seahawks offense.
That's such a great call, and I wish I would have thought of that because also with Christian Gonzalez, there's opportunities to have him go one-on-one with JSN.
Totally.
And then you double. Mm-hmm. Then you're able to double Cooper Kupp or somebody else and really just opens up your defense and really allows you. And I think that's one of the reasons why New England's been able to be so successful when Christian Gonzalez is healthy and available is because even if he's not shadowing a guy, because even if it's not, like if he ends up being on one of the other wide receivers, then you're doubling JSN. You don't need him to do it. Like, it's a nice problem to have if you're the New England Patriots. And for Seattle, for Clint Kubiak, it's going to be about finding out those mismatches.
Weaponizing JSN, trying to beat some of those man coverage moments. The tight end can be a big part of it. That big power slot receiver like a Cooper Kupp can be a part of it as well. All right, let's wrap it up here with our MVP and our final score here. Rank, who's your Super Bowl MVP? What's your final score? Let's hear it.
I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks winning this one 23-20 with Sam Darnold being your MVP.
Good. No, it's incredible because I'm going to go Seahawks 24-20.
Oh, you're wrong. Dead wrong.
We're gonna really fight over 1 point here.
That point could be really big for some people.
For some people, for
certain
certain
in the
sections
desert,
of people. Yeah, my MVP pick is Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, it would be super off-brand for me to come in here and talk about this.
I couldn't see. Yeah, I just want it to be Sam Darnold, just because I think that whether this is right or not, if the Seahawks win, I could see Sam Darnold throwing for even if Sam Darnold threw for 114 yards, they would give it to him because he once played for the Jets. You know what I'm saying? He deserves it. Like Peyton Manning's first Super Bowl win.
Oh, boy.
I don't even really credit him for a win as much as they just survived.
Oh, buckle in, folks.
But at the same time, Dom Rhodes was the guy. Watching that game, Dom Rhodes was the guy who was giving the Bears defense the most fits. They had figured out Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning got lucky because somebody slipped in coverage. I'm just saying,
this is like 2012 era Adam Rank stuff.
It happened though, it really legitimately happened. That's one of the things too. Peyton Manning. Somebody was corrected by somebody. I go, Peyton Manning's won a Super Bowl. He won two. I'm like, dang, he was on the field. I guess.
Yeah.
That second one with Denver, that was.
Oh, he was there.
That was finally one where I was even sitting in that crowd at that game. It was here in San Francisco, and I'm like, they're still going to give the MVP to Peyton Manning just because it's just the way the voters work.
Yeah,
it's a ceremonial thing.
Taking the quarterback is the safe pick, but I think the moral of the story here is going through the matchups, going through the unsung heroes, going through our final score. It's I do think Seattle's the better team, but I think this is going to be closer than people think.
Really want a reason to pick the Patriots, and if I wouldn't anger all the Broncos fans, I might have taken it. But no, I'm just kidding.
Well,
it wouldn't shock me if they win because it's one of those things where I love to fade the public. People who follow me know I love to fade the public, and this was actually an opportunity. I had an opportunity to fade the public on NFL.com, and I didn't take it. I'm like, I'm not committed to it.
Not committed to it.
I think that Seattle should win this.
I think they should as well, but if they don't, it'll be because of Milton Williams. You heard it here first, so you can be the smartest person at your Super Bowl party. We're going to take a quick break. We come back, we're going to make you smarter. In the next segment, we're going to talk about who could be next year's Bears, in addition to why this Bears team was so special. We'll get into that right after this. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Puka Nacua. Which one would you rather have and why?
I put up my updated Dynasty trade value charts on Monday, and they are tied in terms of their value. If I had to pick between them, it would be Puka. He led all wideouts in fantasy scoring this year. Like I said earlier, it was over a point ahead of second place, which was JSN. The fact that Puka went out there, he's shown now he is the focal point of that Sean McVay passing attack. I understand that, the Stafford situation could be scary. What happens after the season? Does Stafford retire?
But his role is very quarterback proof. He has the ability to produce with a different quarterback. I'm very, very confident. I can promise you that. Forget the quarterback part of it. Puka Nacua, he'll be tied to Sean McVay forever.
The Patriots are going to be this year's Broncos. They're going to make the playoffs. This is going to be an exciting team. Winning record. I said 10 wins.
I got to give you flowers for your Patriots bold prediction. As you said in the moment, your love for Drake May, your love for Mike Vrabel and this team propelled you to predict this magical season for them. And sure enough, it happened.
What's the NFL about? When you're going to set up your franchise, you got to get the two check marks. This is really simple. You get the head coach right, you got to get the quarterback right. And easy to say, hard to do. Although, man, isn't it fun? The Bears have those two check marks now. The Jaguars have those two check marks now. And last year, Drake May, with very little help, a horrible offensive line that got turnstile week after week. I thought, Drake May's showing that he is the guy. Vrabel, he constantly took Tennessee rosters that had 8-8 talent and made them playoff teams. Sometimes he even made them number one seed in the playoff teams. I realized they didn't go to the Super Bowl on his watch there, and the last season was a fall off. But the Patriots, those two big check marks, you get those two things right, it can make up for a lot of flaws elsewhere.
All right, we're back. And anytime you can sit down with Adam Rank, it would be a mistake to not let him gloat about the analyze the 2025 Chicago Bears. So, Rank, as I mentioned, you host the Sick podcast with Adam Rank. It's a Bears show. I've actually been on the show before. Hell of a time. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
this Bears season, it had to be fun to cover. It was super fun to watch. As we're showing on the screen right now, massive offensive improvement. In 2024, they were 29th in EPA per play. I mean, look at the numbers there. Again, look at the numbers.
Oh, look at the numbers.
Not that great here in 2025, or well, I guess last year in 2025. It's hard to say. 2025 season's not over yet. They were 9th in EPA per play. So literally from one of the worst offenses in the league to a top 10 unit. What were your thoughts here? Like, how did this happen, and what really stands out to you across the board, which was a great improvement on the offense?
Yeah, it was one of those things, and looking back at the season in general, when you're like, listen, if you would have told me back in August they were going to win 11 games, which is actually what I predicted. 11 games, 2 wins over the Packers, including a playoff win, you would have been like, I would have taken it. And then to get into the NFC divisional round, have an opportunity to beat the Rams and not do it, I really feel like they're like, I wanted to win that. Like, I think it's legitimate to be like,
Sure.
I wanted to win that game. But I think the biggest improvement for this team started obviously with Ben Johnson. But beyond that, going out there and really solidifying the interior of their offensive line. They signed Drew Dahlman. They traded for 2 guards, including Joe Tooney, Jonas Jackson. So you go out there and automatically the interior of your line is improved. You have Darnell Wright already out there at right tackle. And really the biggest issue was left tackle, which Ozzie Trapillo looked like he was going to be the left tackle of the future, but now he's got a patella tendon injury. I know PFF's like, he's going to be great next year. I'm like, bro, he might not even play. Like, he's going to be even able to play. But they really just did a nice job of, establishing a run and really just going all in offensively. Mm-hmm. Like, if you look at what the Bears were able to do, he is so, like, they did such a great job because they obviously had DJ Moore. They used the 9th overall pick a couple of years ago on Roma Dunze. And still, when they went into the draft last year, even with Cole Kmet there, they went out there and they got Colston Loveland. Mm-hmm. They got Luther Burden III. And then they found an absolute dime in Kyle Monungai in the 7th round. And so they put so much emphasis on making sure the offense was good. And they did, and they're like, hey, Dennis Allen, like, yeah, sorry, you gotta kind of work with what you got going on right there, but like, we're going all in on the offense. And I think it's something that I wish, or I don't wish it because I'm glad they didn't do it. But like, when you look at what the Commanders did, for instance, and like your counter, you just had a generational run with a rookie quarterback, and your idea was like, we're going to go get Deebo Samuel and Austin Eckler. I'm like, what year do you think that this is?
Yeah, right.
Like, what are you doing? They should have done whatever they could to go out there. Why weren't you drafted? I don't remember. I'm assuming they had a first-round pick.
Yeah. Josh Connerly, right tackle. Yeah.
That's right. That's fine. Okay, you're going through the offensive line, but it's like.
But still, that backfield, like, they traded away Brian Robinson. They're like, we're going to start a 7th-round rookie. It's going to be Austin Eckler again. And I was with you on the pass catchers. Like, this was driving me crazy all offseason. It was like, well, Noah Brown has been hurt as the 3rd wide receiver. I'm like, brother, we should not be like just Noah Brown's our 3rd. No disrespect. Like, Noah Brown should not just be our 3rd receiver. Like, we should have a little bit more from that outside receiver position. I think your point about the Bears is, it's a phrase that Nate kept saying all offseason, was no half measures. Like, we're going to go all in on this group. We're going to surround this guy with young talent, and they're all going to grow together. And I think you felt that, right? Like, early on in the season, there was certainly some growing pains. Shoot, even late in the season, there was still some growing pains from these rookies, which I think has to make you pretty optimistic for what's going to be going on in 2026 and beyond as these young guys sort of grow up here.
That's why I feel like it's going to be different from what the Commanders went through last season. Everybody's like, well, they fell off. I'm like, well, when Dan Campbell and his team started taking off in Detroit, they kept getting better. And they're still a really good team, even though they missed the playoffs this season. They're still an excellent team. And I think the Bears are going to be in the same conversation. I'm not even throwing out, like, everybody's like, well, defensively, they got to draft an edge and they got to do that. I'm like, you know what? When they draft a left tackle with their first pick, don't be shocked.
Yeah.
Or if they do something screwball again, it makes too much sense. I remember last year, I was one of the few people who was defending the Colston Loveland draft pick because, as a matter of fact, in my mock draft, so I'll do it this April too. My mock draft with the twist is not this is who I think is going where. This is a piece of this is who you should be taking.
A little fan fiction.
Yeah, it's like exactly. And my number one thing for the Buffalo Bills was like, you should draft Luther Burden III. You should draft. And then when he went to the Bears, I'm like, oh my God, I'm stoked on this. Like, I love
that didn't happen.
I'm like, I'm so glad that they didn't take my advice. He would have been awesome in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Sean McDermott might still have a job. Who knows? And I also said, because I didn't think Colston Loveland would get to 10, but I wrote in the piece, if he's there, like he would make a lot of sense for the Bears as well. I think, or the Bears, if the Bears ended up with Colston Loveland, that would make a lot of sense too, because I felt like Jacksonville, I thought should have drafted Tyler Warren. Like in this piece, going back and watching it, Jacksonville stays in their spot, takes Tyler Warren, and then I had Carolina taking Colston Loveland, which obviously Ted McMillan was really good. So that's not a whiff. But I'm like, but thinking back to like what Greg Olson meant to that organization, I'm like, why don't you just take the next Greg Olson?
Yeah.
Then the Bears drafted the next Greg Olson. They just don't go through the thing where you trade him to Carolina.
Yeah, don't trade
whatever
him for like
you do.
a third-round pick.
Don't ever trade him. Don't trade him. Keep Colston Loveland.
Well, I think that's what's really exciting. Again, we kind of touched on why I'm so optimistic about the 26 Bears is you mentioned it's like they're going to stave off some what could be natural regression. You know, the one scores, stuff like that. It's these young players that they're betting on. I think they'll continue to stock the arsenal. But what I'm curious is your opinion on who's going to be maybe next year's Bears. I always love this exercise because it's so stupid and it doesn't work out and it's pointless. But we love to do it for content anyways. Right. Who's going to be that team that goes from a bottom 10 offense? And again, we'll use EPA per play here because
it's got to be a bottom 10.
Bottom 10 offense.
My team is still there. Good.
Here's the bottom 10 offenses from the 2025 season. We have Cleveland, and this is from the bottom. Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders, Tennessee Titans, New York Jets, Minnesota Vikings, New Orleans Saints, Miami Dolphins, Houston Texans, Carolina Panthers, and the Los Angeles Chargers coming in 10th from the bottom here. So I give you those teams. Who's going to do a Bears, based on personnel, coaching changes, whatever, go from the bottom 10 to the top 10 this year?
This is cheating. Because I was thinking of a team anyways, and I'm so glad that they locked in at number 10 so I can say
Yeah.
I mean, the Chargers are too easy. When you think about it, because like everybody already is like, oh, I have a Dynasty Superflex League which has Justin Herbert. Could not be more thrilled.
Totally.
Could not be more thrilled. And I'm looking at this list too. Not surprisingly, the Giants aren't on this list. But I do, you know what? I'm really curious to see what happens in New Orleans and what Kellen Moore is. Because like Kellen Moore was able to do so much with so little. What are they going to do in the offseason? Like what could their offseason look like if they go out there and take a similar approach to what the Bears did, where you're like, we're going all in on offense. Whether we're good or not, we're going to be fun because we're going to be scoring a lot of points. And, there's an easier path to the playoffs in the NFC South right now than there is in some of the other divisions. Like what the Bears did in the NFC North was pretty miraculous because even the teams that didn't make the playoffs were still pretty good. So I think that the Saints are low-key a sneaky one to look out for.
We are so on the same. You could tell that this guy, helped me grow up in my career because we're so on the same page here. Because number one, yes, the correct answer is the Chargers, and they're 10th. And I was saying when I did this list, I sent it to the producers, like, oh. Thank God the Chargers. The Chargers are the correct answer. Mike McDaniel coming in there, it's going to matter a lot for this team. But, yeah, my sneaky pick was going to be the New Orleans Saints because, Tyler Shuck really showed me a lot last year.
I kind of like him.
I was, and to be honest, I was very skeptical of just the profile, the age, the experience, the whole deal. But one thing that just continues to stand out, and I said it yesterday on Football 301, the things that stands out to me with Tyler Shuck is just his ability to just drop back and from the far hash be able to push the ball outside the numbers. That's like good old-fashioned quarterbacking. And I don't know what the ceiling is on Shuck. Again, he's an older player. How much development is there? But, man, I know for sure that the ceiling on his surrounding cast can be a lot higher. I love Chris Olave coming off of a great season. He's going to be back. They want to extend him. He should have another wonderful year this year. But they have a top 10 pick. There's some really interesting receiving prospects. Could a Carnell Tate fit in across from Chris Olave? A couple guys that can play inside out. The run game was kind of a total zero last year, even though the offensive line has its talent. Like, are we doing the Alvin Kamara thing again where he's half retired, half not?
You got to pick a spot. Like, retire or not.
Don't be talking about drinking pina coladas in the middle of the NFL season, okay?
And if I get traded to a winner, like, what are you doing? Like, if that already shows me, like, where's the commitment?
Exactly. So I just think there's so much potential there with the Saints here. They're a really fun answer to me. I'm already going to say, like, listeners to this podcast, get ready to be probably uncomfortable with the amount we're going to talk about the Saints in the offseason because I do think it's a really fun unit to talk about. I think this offense could have some fun additions. But the rest of the list, too, Tennessee, if they add – I think they need to add a ton.
That's another
ton to the pass-catching core. But if they add a bunch of players, they go all in on that, I think we could see like a mini one-year bump with Brian Daboll.
I really want to see what happens with the Tennessee Titans because Cam Ward – showed me some things. You're like, okay, like this guy's got some talent and he could do some things. At the same time, they gotta go all in. Like the Bears have this, like, I don't want to say it's formula because it seems so overly simplistic to be like, yeah, just surround them with talent. Like, what's the big deal? But it's like teams aren't doing it.
Yeah.
Like Washington didn't do it. Like what they thought they did it, but you absolutely did not do it. You got to go. It's got to be full sends, not anything else. Like commit to it. Like you have a brand new head coach. Brian Daboll hopefully will be there for at least a year or more than a year, depending on what happens. He's going to be a candidate once again if this team does get rolling. But go out there and put everything. Your first 4 picks should be offensive players. I don't care what position, but they got to be offensive players. And you got to go out there and you got to build it. And free agency, they got to be active. Don't be foolish, but like.
Right. Be responsible.
Be responsible. Hey, go out there and see if there's any veterans you can swing deals for.
No doubt. And the more I look at the list, there's a lot of intriguing options here. Raiders with Kubiak, Vikings if they can get a quarterback. Would love to break them all down and do a little, fun fan fiction about how they are this year's Bears, but we don't have the time to do it. We got to say goodbye to Adam Rank here. We're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, say goodbye to Rank. Let him go about his very busy schedule as a true NFL celebrity here. And then we're going to have Kendall Valenzuela join the show.
Ooh.
Very excited. We're going to take a quick break.
Upgrade right there.
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Huge upgrade.
I mean, you were okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I do think she's going to be much better, though. Yeah.
100%.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. We'll welcome Kendall to the show. We'll get into that right after this.